Hey guys, today, if your plot outline or your story proposal was approved, you can start working on your plot outline where you're going to plan out or pre-write your story. And so you will know your story proposal was approved if you go to that assignment in Canvas. You'll see you got 15 out of 15 points, and then it will say approved in the comments. So if you're at that step, today you're going to plan out your story, and so we're going to use the plot outline to figure this out. And so remember that your story is based off of real events. So it's based off of the articles that you guys found last week, and you're going to incorporate facts. But you're also going to do what authors like Alan Gratz and other authors have done, where they have included actual historical facts, but they've also made up characters and things like that to tell a story about those events. And so that's what you guys are going to be working on. And when I am doing this, when I'm planning out a story, I generally start with theme. So you guys know what your theme is because you put it in your story proposal already. Remember that theme is not one word, right? A theme is a statement that a reader can learn from your story. And so think about, what do you want your reader to take away? And as you guys start writing, you may find that your theme statement changes a little bit, and that's okay because that's what writers do. Sometimes they change their mind when they get into their story, but it shouldn't completely change. It shouldn't change too much. You may just decide to tweak it a little bit. But think about S.E. Hinton. When she wrote The Outsiders, she went into the story knowing what she wanted to teach her reader. She wanted her reader to see her world and what people her age were experiencing, what was going on in their lives. And so she wrote the novel with that in mind, so that when the reader finished the story, they got it. They got what she was experiencing. And so that is theme. You have that in mind as you're writing, so that all throughout your story, your reader can be saying, oh, like I'm seeing kind of what the author wants me to take away. I can kind of see the author's opinion on this topic or this subject. And so after I jot down my theme, the next thing that I go to is conflict. So again, conflict, you guys wrote this in your story proposal. So if my character is battling society, I'm going to say that's an external conflict. And then the next thing that I do is my exposition. And remember that in exposition, the reader learns 3 things about our story, and that is going to be the setting, the characters, and the conflict. And so remember that this is just like a pre-write, right? So I'm not writing huge paragraphs and all of that. I'm just jotting down ideas. I would like you to give me enough so that I can follow and that it makes sense. But again, we're just writing a little bit. But what is the setting of your story? Who are going to be your main characters? And then you're starting to introduce the problem. After I do that, I generally like to go up to the climax or the point of no return. And remember that this is where your character is going to make a choice that is going to change their life forever or impact their life forever. They're not going to be the same because of this moment, because of the choices that they're facing or that they are forced to make. And so that is going to be your climax. And after you write that, you'll go back and you'll fill out your rising action, because rising action is just everything that happens in between, right? And so I have that I need you guys to include at least 2 events, but I would include as many as you can think of, because when your author or when your reader is reading your story, the point of no return, it should be suspenseful, but it shouldn't be a shock. We should kind of see that you have been building to this point, and that is because of your rising action. So rising action is building to that point of suspense where your character is forced to make a choice. And so the more events you can include and the more description you can have in your rising action is going to build that point of no return or build your climax. In most novels, the main bulk of the story is the exposition, the rising action, and then the climax. The falling action and the resolution are pretty short. And so your main story is going to be those 3 things. So think about that as you guys are kind of coming up with events that are going to be rising action. After I write my rising action, I generally like to go to the resolution. Think about how is your story going to end? How is it going to be resolved? And then everything in between your point of no return and your resolution is falling action. Remember that falling action and resolution are going to be pretty brief. And so that is your plot outline. When you finish and you kind of have this whole thing filled out, make sure that your conflict, your climax, and your theme are all connected. All of those things should make sense. Because of the problem that your character is facing, the choice they have to make should make sense. And whatever the reader learns should be a result of the choice that your character had to make or the things that they were facing. And so those should all be connected. So make sure that those 3 are connected so that you have a solid story. Once you get there, you're going to start thinking about your characters. So on the next page, you're going to jot down the name of at least 2 of your main characters. So I'm going to have a character in my story. His name is going to be Michael. And then his trait is he is stubborn. And so that is one of my characters. We are not going to fill this out right now. So after you guys actually write your story, you're going to come back and you're going to see in your story, do you have enough evidence based on things that Michael says or thoughts that he has that show that he's stubborn. So you're going to kind of use this as a check for yourself to make sure you've developed your character. So you're not filling that out right now. And then for my second character, her name is going to be Pam. And her trait is this. And again, I'm not filling this out right now. So that is your goal for today. For today, you want to kind of get your story planned out and then start thinking about 2 of your main characters. What are their names going to be? And then what are their traits going to be? Again, characters can be made up, people who are living through this event, or they can be based on real people. Either way is fine. But who are your main characters going to be in your story? After you have this, on Wednesday, we will start actually drafting your story. And so that's where we'll start writing your rough draft. So you'll turn this into me to the assignment called Plot Outline. It's due tomorrow. I'll check it. And then if I don't see any issues, you guys can move on to writing your rough draft. And we'll go from there. As always, if you have questions, you can email me, or if you feel like we need to talk, we could set up a Zoom session and kind of talk through some issues as well. Just let me know. Thanks.